is a new development just seconds ago. Attorney General Jeff Sessions is pushing back after President Trump went after him for using a, quote, Obama guy to investigate alleged surveillance abuses. In a statement, he said, quote, now, and this has just happened, "We have initiated the appropriate process that will ensure complaints against this department will be fully and fairly acted upon if necessary. As long as I am the Attorney General, I will continue to discharge my duties in integrity and honor, and this department will continue to do its work in a fair and impartial manner according to the law and the Constitution," end quote. Power panel now. Leslie Marshall is a syndicated radio host and Fox News contributor, our Democrat here. Alex Conant is a former communications director for Senator Marco Rubio and a partner at Firehouse Strategies. Great to have you back. Alex, what do you think about this? I mean, this is a very public thing going back and forth.
It's just really unusual to see these sorts of spats within the administration spilling out into public, as we've seen today with the president going on Twitter and then Jeff Sessions putting out Sessions. Why can't they just pick up the phone and have these discussions internally like you would see in another administration? It really distracts from the president's agenda and makes it tough for the Attorney General to do his job, which is an important job.
The topic, though, is it worth this? I mean, look at what the president is talking about.
I don't think it is worth it. I don't understand that the president's strategy behind going after the inspector general at the Justice Department, especially when congressional Republicans don't agree with him. You saw today Trey Gowdy going out and defending the inspector general, the Senator Grassley from Iowa, another conservative defending him. I don't think picking fights with the Justice Department that then spills into larger fights with the Attorney General and congressional Republicans fits the president's strategy.
Leslie, except for one thing. He recused himself from the Russia investigation, and the president has been very vocal about that.
What bothers me is, and this is not my guy, right? Not my candidate. He is my president now. But if you say there was no collusion, there's no problem, just let it go. Jeff Sessions did the right thing in recusing himself. And I think that we get into the problem with the president is that he forgets that the Attorney General is not to pledge his allegiance to Donald Trump and to the President of the executive branch, but to the Constitution. And I think that's what we clearly see here. And that's not good because for the President or for the Republican Party, it shows division in the Republican Party. And it also shows when you look at the constant approval rating going down, that a lot of people are looking at a House in disarray, and it adds to this House in
Actually,
disarray.
it's been coming back. Those tax cuts have helped the president, it would appear. But let's get back to the original tweet. So here's what the president tweeted. Why is AG Jeff Sessions asking the inspector general to investigate potentially massive FISA abuse? Will take forever, has no prosecutorial power, and already late with reports on Comey, etc. Isn't the IG an Obama guy? Why not use Justice Department lawyers? Disgraceful. Alex?
Look, those may be valid questions that he should pick up the phone and ask the Attorney General himself. Why did you do it this way? Or ask the White House counsel, why did you do it this way? Asking those questions publicly only undermines the investigation that's happening at the Justice Department, which is an important investigation. Why the White House, why the president would want to undermine an important investigation, that makes no sense to me.
So, when you look at the situation that the president, though, is talking about, do you feel that he has been listened to? Because sometimes this president will be vocal when he thinks he's not being heard. And I would say that most people feel that way.
Well, clearly the president's frustrated from what happened a year ago when Jeff Sessions recused himself from the Russia investigation overall. That relationship has never been the same since, clearly. And you continue to see the president's poking at the Attorney General at every chance he gets. I think because he's still upset that the Attorney General recused himself. Which
so
was,
why not,
as you said,
why,
the right
why not move
to make.
on then?
Look, I'm not Sarah Sanders. I don't have to answer that question. It's not obvious to me why the president continues to engage in these fights with his own administration.
Leslie?
Well, I've said it before, and people, get angry with me. It's juvenile. It's I have a 9 and 10-year-old, and that's this behavior. You said third grade, right off the air. This is what's going on, and it shouldn't be playing out on Twitter. You're right. He should pick up the phone, or like you said, I would agree with you there. Ask his own attorney, why is this being done in this manner?
All right. So some developments to tell you about in the special counsel's Russia investigation. CNN is now reporting Robert Mueller's team is looking into President Trump's personal business dealings with Russia before his presidential campaign. You'll recall during an interview with the New York Times in July of last year, the president was asked whether Mueller looking into his finances would be unrelated to Russia and whether that would cross a red line. Here's what the president said, quote, "I would say, yeah. I would say yes. I think that's a violation," end quote. Later in that interview, the president was asked whether that would be a fireable offense. The president responding, quote, "I can't answer that question because I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen," end quote. We're back with our power panel now, Leslie Marshall, Alex Conant, and if others reporting, and now we're doing our own to try to shore this up as well is true, we're at that point.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Look, Mueller has a broad mandate, but it does not include fishing. And if he's gone on a fishing expedition,
have you told him that? Because there are people on.
The Justice Department did when they gave him the assignment. Now, there's nothing wrong with asking questions per se, and if that's all he's doing is asking questions to fill in a fuller picture, that I suppose there's nothing wrong with that.
So what crosses the line?
If he indicts the president or the president's family for some sort of financial transactions that have nothing to do with the campaign or the 2016 elections, I think there's no question that the president would view that as crossing a red line, and it would create a real political crisis.
Leslie?
I agree with the latter part of what you said, but it's not fishing to ask questions. He's doing his job.
Right.
He's got to be comprehensive.
If he's trying to build a case against the president and the family, specifically on this point, and it's not core to what he's looking into.
I don't think so. If you just look at the two things that he has been tasked with doing, is to find out, is there obstruction of justice, and the Russian meddling, right? I think the questions are pertinent to both of those categories, and that he's doing.
Actually, it's not Russian meddling, because we already know that happened with the election, and so now you have both sides of the political aisle saying, and I've talked with representatives today and yesterday from two different camps, that yeah, we have to get this right before November. It's whether or not there's collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia, and so far no evidence of that. So how far into the future do we go? What?
You have to ask that.
It's being asked by several investigations.
But that is what his job to do, because you can't prove obstruction. Look, the bottom line is obstruction of justice. Most people would say if there was obstruction of justice, there had to be some kind of quid pro quo. And that would be when? Before the campaign, perhaps. And that would be what? Between businesses and Russia, between the Trump family and their businesses. So I think that although it may be, pushing the envelope, it's not crossing that line.
Okay, so when the president says it is crossing the line, and that would it be a fireable offense? Well, it hasn't happened yet. Where does that leave him? What do you expect?
Well, I expect that the president and the White House will do what they're already doing, which is cooperating with this investigation as much as possible. We haven't heard any complaints from Mueller or the Justice Department that the president's not cooperating.
Is this a game change if Mueller is going down a different road?
No, I think if he's simply asking questions, but the core of the investigation continues to be on the Russians and the meddling and whether or not any Americans help them. If that is what he's looking into, I think that is totally fine. But as I said, the moment he indicts somebody for close to Trump for financial transactions, that is Jared or another family member that has to do something unrelated to the election, clearly the president is going to say that crosses a red line, and it is going to spark a real political crisis in Washington.
Are you at this point now, you saw the president's attorneys looking at whether or not he should sit down with Mueller, and I've heard you talk about this before. Are you still in the same position? Should he?
I think he should. I think he should. Look, the president has actually been deposed many times in the past, and he's very comfortable talking under oath. I think it is in the White House's best interest to get all of the facts out. They should tell Mueller, but they should also tell the American people.
That's an interesting point. Okay, so he's done well before. Democrats will say, oh, no, he's going to nick his finger on this. It's going to be bad. That's an interesting talking point. If you look at the facts, maybe a little bit of fantasy by Democrats.
Well, honestly, I'm a Democrat. I want truth. And I don't think you can get the truth and you can have the full picture, like today when yesterday when Hope Hicks answered questions up to a point, or when Steve Bannon, has executive privilege, which to me is like pleading the fifth. You're not getting the truth. I think the president absolutely should sit down, especially if he has nothing to hide. If there's no there, sit down. It'll be done sooner. And quite frankly, that will help Mueller to do his job and to bring this to a close, whatever the outcome is sooner.
The longer this investigation goes, the more it looks like the president and his immediate family and the campaign did nothing wrong. If they have nothing to hide, they should cooperate, continue to cooperate with Mueller's investigation.